Welcome to Herdley, where books turn into 3 stories, refreshing your knowledge in minutes. Today, we study together the book Why We Remember, Unlocking Memory's Power to Hold On to What Matters by Charan Ranganath, in which we probe into how our memories shape our present and future decisions, and why forgetting is essential to human cognition. Charan Ranganath is a professor at the Center for Neuroscience and Department of Psychology and director of the Dynamic Memory Lab at the University of California at Davis. Don't go away. Herdley, the editor, will be right back with the story. Today, we dive into 3 stories illustrating the profound ways in which our memories shape our decisions and why forgetting is crucial to our survival and adaptation. These stories reveal that the memories we hold onto are not always the most accurate, but they are the ones that serve us best in navigating our lives. The first story takes us back to the 1990s with a young researcher named Jake, who was fascinated by the human brain's ability to adapt. Jake was a grad student studying the effects of trauma on memory. One day, he met Lisa, a middle-aged woman who had survived a car accident but suffered from severe memory loss. Lisa couldn't remember most of her past, including her wedding day, the birth of her children, or even what she ate for breakfast that morning. Yet, every time she heard the sound of screeching tires, her body would tense up and her heart would race. "Why do I react like this if I don't remember the accident?" she asked Jake. He didn't have an immediate answer, but he knew that her body was holding on to something her conscious mind couldn't access. It wasn't until years later, after countless studies, that Jake understood that Lisa's reaction wasn't about remembering the accident itself. It was about her brain's way of protecting her. Her mind had chosen to forget the traumatic event to shield her from the emotional pain, but it hadn't forgotten the lesson: stay away from danger. This form of selective memory, Jake realized, was essential for survival, allowing people to move on from traumatic events without constantly reliving them. It was the brain's way of saying, remember the lesson, not the pain. Building on this, another researcher named Maria found herself at the crossroads of memory and emotion while studying the effects of nostalgia on decision-making. Maria had always been intrigued by how people make choices based on their memories. She once conducted a study involving elderly volunteers, asking them to recall their happiest moments. One participant, Mr. Thompson, recalled a specific summer day in 1955. "It was the day I met my wife," he said, his face lighting up. "I remember the sunlight on her hair, the sound of jazz from a nearby cafe, and the smell of fresh bread in the air." He went on to describe in vivid detail the feeling of falling in love, a memory so clear it was as if he was living it all over again. But what struck Maria was not just the clarity of his memory, but how it influenced his choices. Mr. Thompson admitted he had stayed in his hometown his entire life because it was where he had met his wife and made his happiest memories. "I never wanted to leave," he confessed, "because I felt if I stayed, I could keep those memories alive." This realization was a breakthrough for Maria. She saw how people's choices are often driven by a desire to preserve certain memories, even at the cost of exploring new opportunities. Nostalgia, she found, is a powerful force, shaping our decisions by keeping us tethered to the past. Memories are like anchors, she noted. They keep us grounded, but sometimes they prevent us from setting sail. Our last story brings us to Sam, a journalist who stumbled upon the surprising resilience of collective memory. While covering a story on a small town recovering from a devastating flood, Sam met a group of locals who were tirelessly rebuilding their community. He was struck by their determination and asked one of the town's elders, Mrs. Collins, what kept them going. "We've been through worse," she said with a resolute smile. "I remember the blizzard of '78, the way it buried the town, and how we all came together to dig ourselves out." What fascinated Sam was not just the story of survival, but how Mrs. Collins's memory of the past crisis gave her strength in the present. "It's like we remember together," she explained. Every time one of us starts to doubt, someone else will remind them of what we've already overcome. This shared memory wasn't just a story from the past. It was a source of strength and unity, fueling their efforts to rebuild. Sam realized that collective memory is more than just a record of what happened. It's a tool for resilience, helping communities face new challenges by drawing strength from their shared experiences. Each of these stories shows a different facet of how memory shapes our decisions and actions. Whether it's Jake discovering that forgetting painful events helps us survive, Maria uncovering how nostalgia influences our choices, or Sam witnessing how shared memories strengthen a community, we see that memory isn't just a static record of the past. It's a dynamic, ever-evolving process that influences every aspect of our lives. As the editor of Herdley, by learning these, we can consciously choose to shape our memories, creating a future where we remember not just what was, but what could be, harnessing the power of memory to build resilience, foster growth, and navigate the unknown. Our journey through the book reveals a powerful truth. Our memories are not just archives of the past, but active agents shaping our present and future decisions. To further illustrate this, let's consider the story of Susan, a dedicated doctor who found herself questioning her career path after a particularly harrowing year in the emergency room. She felt overwhelmed by the constant exposure to trauma and tragedy. One day, during a conversation with a colleague, she recalled a memory from her early days in medical school, a moment when she saved her first patient. "I remember the look in their eyes," she said, "the gratitude, the relief." This vivid memory reignited her passion, reminding her why she chose this path in the first place. It wasn't about the endless paperwork or the grueling hours, but about making a difference in people's lives. This story underscores the book's key argument. Our memories are not just reflections of what has happened. They are tools that can inspire us, guide us, and help us make sense of our journey. By understanding how our memories influence our choices, we gain the power to reshape them, prioritizing what truly matters. As we move forward, let's embrace this power, using our memories not only to navigate the complexities of the present, but also to carve out a future filled with purpose and meaning.